nobody could say that they're born with this gift or born with a gift to change the world. It's circumstances that happen in your life that get you to that point. "20 years ago, you would have told me I would have done this, I'd have said you're crazy. That's not, you're nuts, you know, it's impossible." I would have said that. Because I didn't believe in my wildest dreams that we would have gotten this far. My name is Keenan Singh, founder and CEO of Airlink Communications. Right now we're in our technology park, which is a 7-acre facility located in Sahai Trace, Princestown, that we hope to develop into an innovation hub that technology companies can use both locally and internationally to develop things like data centers, call centers, anything technology related. We don't allow photography or videography in the data center, but we'll make an exception today because we have control over what is shown and what is not shown. Let's take a look and see. Maximum power capacity of about 250 kilowatts, so we can do some high density applications as well. All the cables and everything runs below the ground. This is basically where the internet comes from. This is where the cloud comes from. When you talk about the cloud, you talk about applications being hosted on the internet, you talk about any sort of digital service, it comes from a facility like this. Usually facilities like this are located in North America. It's nice to see that within Trinidad and Tobago we have the capacity to build and to maintain and to run the, facilities like this. This is the heart of the operation basically. This is where all the power comes from. We have our A supply UPS as well as our B supply UPSs here. And everything feeds into the data center. So every single cabinet is connected to 2 power grids, basically. Yeah.
Keenan had a satellite dish that he wanted to, start cable TV. It was a great idea to do cable TV. Cable TV never existed in Sahai Trace, where we are today. My grandfather had land. Right across the road from him. And there was just a, hey, can I just occupy 10 feet by 10 feet, put up a satellite dish, because we want to do cable TV in this area.
The Uptime Institute would look at mechanical and electrical only, whereas with TIA, they would look at architectural and telecom, in addition to mechanical and electrical.
So your security stuff was under the architecture category?
Correct. And architecture also means things like you're not close to any, you're not prone to, let's say, for natural disasters and stuff like that. You're outside of the hurricane belt. Those things do help us get up in the rating. We're not close to any airports, so we don't have the risk of an airplane crashing into the facility. All of those things they check. They go into a lot of detail.
Well, my earliest memory of interacting with Keenan was, I think, in 1989, when he was a little 2 or 3 year old kid. Keenan and my son Riyadh, they attended the same kindergarten at Aldana Street in Princestown.
I only realized that about a year ago that I have a learning disability. I have dyslexia. I was at the bottom of the barrel. I was last, second to last. That was me. And I didn't know then what I know now, that I learn differently. I learn by doing, not by reading. So this is building A. This is the data center. We have entrance room D over there, which we bring in one primary, one secondary fiber optic cable. So there's an east side and a west side. So this one takes from the east side and the other one takes from the west
Separate
side.
redundant.
Correct.
Incoming.
And there are multiple cables coming in there. So multiple primary redundants, because from each individual provider, there's a primary and a redundant. Correct. Primary and a redundant.
Keenan came into St. Stephen's in the year 1997. In school, he was always an entrepreneur. Keenan would take up orders from his classmate. And during the 10-minute break to the cafeteria, because of his height, the other children allow him to pass in front of them. And he will buy what his classmates need for a fee. So even at St. Stephen's College, young Keenan was an entrepreneur and very successful at that.
So Keenan was in primary school at the time. He was like 8 years, standard 2. And the dad and I had bought a fax machine because the dad was in another business, And Keenan used to take the pages out of the coloring book and he would run them through the fax machine, make copies, take them to school, and he would sell them to his friends for 25 cents a piece. That was the first thing that he did that led us to believe that, he wants to be a businessman.
Saved up enough money, I bought a satellite dish, brought it down to Trinidad. The salesperson told me that once you could see the southern sky, it'll work, right? The dish was, good size. I fit it in my suitcase, I brought it down, I bored probably 100 holes on my dad's roof. He still quarrels with me up to today for that, but it is what it is. I cut down my neighbor's tree because I thought that was blocking the signal. That wasn't the case. I kept trying, kept doing it. Turns out I needed a larger dish, but I didn't know that. But again, because of my learning style, I learned by doing. So this didn't work, so I tried something else.
Keenan's dad and myself, we go a long way back. His father had a mechanic shop right next to where the business center is, in Contention Street. And I used to fix my car there. Every time I go, his dad and myself would be talking about Keenan. His father is concerned about Keenan. One day he took me upstairs in his home. He showed me a room with a computer and thing. He said all day, all night, Keenan is behind these computers. He is not behind the books. And I have a major concern.
So I can't read a book and learn something. I have to do it, or I have to I'm more of a visual learner. So I'll see it or I'll do it, and then I'll learn, and that's the way that I learn. But again, I didn't know that. Nobody took the time to really figure out, well, okay, what's wrong? It's always, well, all right, maybe it's the school. So we send them for lessons. And I used to do lessons sometimes every day till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the night, because you're failing your exams, you're failing your studies, and the answer was, well, lessons, more lessons, All right, this lesson didn't work, I'll send you to this lessons. This teacher better, all right, I'll send you to that lessons, and that's how it went. So I did not like school. To me, school was torture because I didn't learn anything.
Keenan is a guy who always liked to give back. Always liked to give back to his community, to people who touch his life.
One day he came to say to me, "Uncle, you want to get internet? You want to get cable TV?" I said, "Of course."
So he met me one day and he said, "Sir, you have internet?" I said, "No."
Now, he came to me and said, "I am going to set up a cable network in our village here, in our community."
He said, "But I'm going to send a dish free of charge. I'm going to send my workmen to install it free of charge, and I'm going to give you 3 months free internet service."
And that's where he started. He set up a cable network among the neighbors in his community there. And we were provided with cable TV, right? Which was an amazing thing for us, right?
And the next neighbor said, I want one too. And then that one customer turned to two customers turned to four customers turned to 6 and 8. Eventually built a tower, communication tower, and we started connecting people within a 5-mile radius. And we just, eventually we got up to like about 100 customers, and that's how it all started. So this is our 24/7 network operations center. We monitor the entire network, the data center, all of the critical systems, mission critical systems, and our entire network from this room.
And this is in real time?
This is in real time, yeah. And manned 24/7.
We started from an analog TV service and a wireless internet service.
It's just one thing led to another. The demand was there because at that point in time, these larger telecommunications companies didn't see the financial feasibility in running services in these rural communities. Because think of it on their point of view. If they have an area with 100 homes per mile, and then you have another area with 10 homes per mile, where would you run service? You'd run the service within 100 homes per mile. And that's what they did. So we were left out because we were in the bush,
As we grew, we would have developed the data center side. We've evolved a lot. Every time we learn something, we would share that knowledge with the teams under us so that it's not a Keenan or a Riyadh, it's really the company, and the more people we share that knowledge to, is the better the company becomes.
And it's a testament not only for what I would have done, but it's a testament for all the people who would have helped along the way. My parents, my customers, most importantly, customers, because you have no business if you have no customers. And we still have customers to this day that we would have connected 15 or 18 years ago from the beginning.
Keenan has made and is making a positive impact on, I would say, the development of Princestown and the country, and maybe the world as a whole.
And Princestown can be put on the map as having its own cable provider and internet provider, all through the efforts of the young boy Keenan. He has created something here which not only could he and his family be proud of, but the entire Princestown region can be proud of him. In other words, in his own way, Keenan has put Princestown on the map. Not only on the local map in Trinidad, but I will go further to say in an international map.
We always like to think of the internet as like a luxury, but it's not. It's not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. It's a necessity to learn. This is the way I learn. This is the way when I'm faced with a challenge and I don't know how to do something, or I run into a problem, let's say with a satellite dish, the first thing I go on the internet.
Keenan now has remained the simple, decent man, young boy that I knew. He grew up with all the attributes of the country boy, well-trained, well-disciplined. He grew up with that, and he is still that way.
Keenan today, he is more focused, he's more driven. He's still in that mode of, building himself to higher and higher and higher levels.
People who have no, they've always been told all their life that they can't do something, they can't do it, or they don't have the resources. And that is most of the problem, that they don't have the resources because they come from a poor family and they just can't do something. And really, I think my story is to kind of show them that you can, because we did it. Really, my story isn't really my story. My story is our story. My story is the people who have been forgotten, the people who we think very little of, and we think that they could do very little, are really the ones who really can do the most. Because this isn't because of me, this is because of all of them. So while I would have planted the seed, we got to this point because of the potential within all of us.